Hi, my name is Bryan. I'm the Chief Creative Officer of Real Experiences. And there have been questions that people have over the years that I feel like always come up. And I just want to answer some of those questions as a part of today's Real Impromptu. So let's get into it. Here we go. Because basically, I'm just saying whatever comes to my brain. Not going to be edited very well. No, I'm not talking out my butt. Hi, my name is Bryan Coley. I am the Chief Creative Officer. So I've got two questions. Well, it's like maybe even three questions that we get a lot that I want to unpack today. The first one is a funny one. It's like people who haven't been to Rio, and maybe even after they've been to Rio, they're like, is this movie therapy? Like, is this therapy? And I always tell people, oh my gosh, no, like look at me. I am not a therapist. Like, I'm not licensed in anything like that. I'm just an arts guy who got into this because I love movies and I know story really well. And I just have this intuitive nature towards people. So, anytime you're dealing with people, you are delving into things like communication, all kinds of aspects that really make good teams, trust, collaboration. All those things are built out of some semblance of getting to know people and knowing people. But no, I'm not a therapist, and this is definitely not therapy. Now, I will say that vulnerability is a part of what we do, but I call it appropriate vulnerability, meaning that it's not something where we're trying to force anything. And in reality, we give you the knob of vulnerability. So we never force people to say anything about their story, about who they are, unless they want to. And in Rio, we've had people share things that are just incredibly vulnerable and have everybody in the room in tears and stuff like that. But if you're not that kind of person, I don't want you to be scared or run away or something like that. Because we really want people to be able to have that vulnerability control, that knob of vulnerability. So that is the question around, two questions around, is this therapy? No. Do we value vulnerability, and should you value vulnerability? I think you should, because I think it does. As we've seen teams like go from night and day based on sharing themselves and sharing their heart a little bit deeper. So vulnerability can be a part of it, but it's up to you. So that is the answer to that question. Now, on a totally different note, another question we get is, well, what if I am not a movie person? Like, what if I'm not? And I think that's an extremely fair question when it comes to evaluating Reel, of whether you want to come. I know we've had a lot of team leaders who don't want to do Reel because they're not movie people, and they don't want to be, they don't want to do something that they're so out of control and are not familiar with, that is such a different thing for them that they would not feel comfortable or feel like that they can lead this as they move forward. And I would just say time and time again, we've seen that not to be true. Time and time again, we have people who come in here and say, I'm not a movie person. And then all of a sudden it just like lights up as far as the 10 movies that they chose that maybe they're a book person and they just did adaptations or something like that. But they were able to choose 10 movies out of all the movies in the world, and it still really spoke to them. So I understand if you're not a movie person, this can be intimidating, especially if your coworker is like the major movie person who can answer all this trivia. We don't do trivia. We don't, purposely put you in a place where you're like, total fish out of water. So that's the answers to, are we doing therapy? No. We are doing people. Yes. Do we hope that people get vulnerable? Well, that's up to them. And we have seen vulnerability be a huge change agent to teams within Reel. And then, do you need to be a movie person? No. You don't need to be intimidated by that. And so those are the answers to those questions. We've got more questions that we want to share with you that people ask of us. So stay tuned for more Real Impromptu, and thank you for watching.